Have you ever felt like you're just an option to someone? Someone they turn to when things are calm, convenient, or when their other relationships fall short? Someone easily overlooked, easily replaced, always lower on their priority list. If that stings, let me tell you this. You weren't born to be an option. You don't exist to please those who only come to you when it suits them. You are a luxury, a precious gift not everyone deserves. But if you don't live like it, if you don't act like a gift, don't blame others for not valuing you. The world will treat you exactly as you value yourself. This isn't a video about making others love you more. It's about loving yourself so deeply that others can't help but see you differently. Here we won't beg for attention, chase anyone, or plead for a place in their lives. We'll build a bold, disciplined, boundary-setting, irreplaceable version of you. In this video, I'll share 12 keys to make you someone no one dares take lightly. Each part, each word, will awaken a forgotten strength within you. Are you ready? If you're serious about changing how the world sees you, hit like and subscribe now. Because after today, you won't live as an option anymore. You'll live as a luxury. Number 1, become the standard, not the seeker. Here's a harsh truth of modern life few dare to face. The more you chase, the less you're valued. The harder you try to be what others want, the more you lose your true worth. You end up living tentatively, dependently, seeking approval. But truly valuable people don't live like that. They don't seek acceptance. They set the standard. They're the ones others strive to reach, not the ones begging to be chosen. This is the first and most critical mindset shift to become someone no one dares overlook. Stop being the seeker and start living as the standard others must meet. When you live as a standard, everything around you shifts. You stop tolerating half-hearted relationships. You reject lukewarm connections. You don't open your heart to those who come and go. Because you know anything too available is taken for granted, while what's rare is cherished. This rarity isn't manipulation or a game. It's the result of valuing yourself and living accordingly. You don't need to shout to be heard or bargain to be loved. You just need to show up authentically, intentionally, and disciplined enough to not trade your worth for fleeting things. Stoic philosophy teaches, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't tell people who you are, live it. A standard doesn't need advertising. Your way of living, speaking, and even staying silent broadcasts your worth. When you become the standard, you don't compete. You stand in a place others aspire to enter, not a position you fight to keep. This is power without words, a quiet magnetism that forces others to rethink how they treat you. Becoming a standard isn't about waking up one day and declaring, I'm a luxury. It's a long process of awareness, saying no to what doesn't align, and forging a reliable, respectable, boundary-setting self. You trade ease for value, people-pleasing for personal integrity, and universal likability for rarity, because the truly valuable don't fit the crowd. Imagine yourself as a true luxury, a rare handcrafted watch, a vintage wine only a few can possess, a timeless artwork preserved through ages. These aren't found in supermarkets, mass-produced, or loudly advertised. Yet those who understand their worth pursue them relentlessly. And even if no one claims them, their value never dims. That's how you must live, not as a cheap, common item, but as something that demands others raise their standards to approach. Starting today, stop chasing half-hearted affection, shaky validation, or unworthy people. Instead, build a life of standards, how you eat, speak, work, keep promises, maintain boundaries, and uphold honor. This isn't for show. It's how you dig deep to cultivate real inner strength. When you live with clear standards, you emit an energy that commands respect in your presence. If this resonates, if you've spent too long as a seeker and are ready to step up as the standard, comment below, I am the standard, as your commitment. Hit like to spread this powerful message to those who need it. And if you want to join the journey to become your most valuable self, subscribe and turn on notifications. Your transformation is just beginning. Number 2, know your value before anyone else does. There's an unspoken rule in life that many sense but few confront. People value you based on how you value yourself. If you enter a room with a lost gaze, timid gestures, or shaky confidence, don't expect to be seen as exceptional. But if you show up with self-respect, well-timed silence, and an unshakable presence money can't buy, you force others to rethink how they treat you. This doesn't come from words or attire. It starts with the inner conviction that you are valuable, not because you're perfect, but because you know who you are, what you live for, and refuse to sell yourself short for fleeting attention. The tragedy for many isn't that they lack value. It's that they don't know their own worth. They settle for shallow relationships, toxic remarks, or unworthy jobs, thinking something's better than nothing. But that mindset quietly teaches others you'll accept anything. If you haven't set your own value, you can't blame others for lowballing you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Your thoughts about yourself shape the world you live in, not others." If you see yourself as small, weak, or unworthy, the world mirrors that. But when you recognize your unique, albeit imperfect value, you act differently. You choose your words carefully, reject what doesn't align, and move with quiet pride. Without straining to prove it, your belief in your worth eventually shines through, and the world takes notice. Knowing your value isn't arrogance, it's the foundation to avoid meaningless emotional games. It's why you don't react to insults, cling to the unworthy, or fret when someone leaves. You understand, their departure doesn't diminish you. If they can't see your light, it doesn't mean your darkness. You keep moving, shining elsewhere, where those with vision will cherish what you bring. Valuing yourself shapes the life you choose. When you know your worth, you refuse toxic workplaces, relationships with those who don't respect you, or a cheap existence for others' fleeting approval. If you don't believe you're valuable, someone will come along and price you lower than you'd imagine. And if you accept that price, you've sold your dignity and future short. You don't need anyone's permission to be confident. No one but you defines your worth. Others can critique, disagree, or walk away. But the only thing keeping you steady in life's storms is an unshakable belief. You are valuable, not because you're flawless, but because you keep learning, rising, and never lose your dignity. So take time to reflect. Write down what you value in yourself, the boundaries you won't cross, and what you deserve. Then live as if it's the truth. Only when you truly believe you're worthy of respect will you stop accepting disrespect. If this resonates and stirs something in you, comment, "I know my worth," as a reminder to yourself. Hit like if you've ever lost your value trying to please others but are reclaiming it today. Subscribe to continue building an irreplaceable identity, and share this video with those who need a new perspective on their true worth. Because when you live as something precious, you'll never be just an option. Number 3, stop shrinking to fit places you've outgrown. One of the fastest ways to be undervalued is to shrink yourself to fit spaces you've long outgrown. You were once there, believing it was everything, convinced you had to cling to that relationship, job, or environment because it was where you belonged. But then you grew, you changed, you saw beyond. Yet instead of leaving, you compress yourself, stifle your growth, and distort who you are to fit an outdated mold. The tragedy is, in doing so, you betray yourself and give others reason to never see you as valuable. Staying in a place your mind has left erodes you silently. You pretend to enjoy conversations that no longer spark you, feign commitment to goals your heart no longer feels, and act fine in environments that suffocate you. Slowly, you lose the light in your eyes, the confidence in your voice, the fire of dreams, all because you fear disappointing others, being labeled a traitor, or losing the nice person badge. But know this, people don't respect you for sacrificing yourself. They respect you when you dare to live as the person you're becoming. Socrates said, "You cannot grow if you live in a box built by others." Those boxes, crafted from expectations, societal pressure, fear of abandonment, or comfort zones, are small but powerful. Your mind has stepped out of that box. So why does your body stay? Why do you still shrink, fold, and contort to keep the peace, avoid criticism, or maintain false safety? No one grows in a space that forces them to diminish. True growth never comes from self-limitation. to make others comfortable. When you live smaller than your true capacity, others assume that's your limit. They'll assign you simple roles, easy tasks, safe positions, never giving you a chance to shine. Not because you're unworthy, but because you haven't shown you've changed. You can't blame them if you keep acting like your old self just to stay in an outdated space. So accept this. You no longer belong to that old place. Not because it's bad, but because you've reached a new level of awareness, ability, emotion, and values. Leaving isn't betrayal, it's self-respect. Standing up and stepping away from that old chair isn't arrogance. It's loyalty to your growth. If someone faults you for changing, remember, you don't owe them stagnation to preserve a familiar image. Stop shrinking to fit a version of yourself you've outgrown. Don't cling to relationships just because they're familiar. Don't stay in a job you no longer love for stability. Don't live somewhere you don't belong just because of family. Those are masks for fear holding you back. You can't step into your valuable life wearing the past's ill-fitting clothes. It's time to stand tall, thank the old chapters, and walk forward without regret. If you've ever shrunk, silenced yourself, or pretended to be okay to keep a place no longer worthy of you, comment, "I will not shrink anymore," as a powerful declaration. Hit like if you're on the journey of leaving an old version behind and stepping into your own light. Subscribe to keep walking with messages that help you become a luxury, not a temporary option in someone else's world. Number 4. Be unavailable to inconsistency. Nothing erodes your self-respect faster than tolerating half-hearted people, relationships, or opportunities. Inconsistency is a silent poison that kills your personal value. One day they love you, the next they're silent. Today they care, tomorrow they vanish without explanation. One moment they praise you, the next you feel like nothing. If you keep welcoming them into your life, you're teaching others that their instability is acceptable. And once you accept it, you'll be taken lightly. You can't be a luxury in others' eyes if they can come and go as they please. Luxury means rarity, not always available, not easily attained, and never open to half commitments. If someone can't be consistent with you, don't give them a prime spot in your world. They don't need to be perfect, but they must be clear. They don't need to show up daily, but they should respect you enough to not leave you guessing. You weren't born to wait for texts, analyze expressions, or excuse unforgivable behavior. You were born to be loved clearly, respected as a standard, and treated with unwavering certainty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let external chaos disturb your inner peace." The most infectious chaos is relational ambiguity, a person who loves you passionately today, but makes you doubt yourself tomorrow, a job that offers hope one day and dismisses your efforts the next, a friend who's by your side today, but gone when you need them most. This is the inconsistency you must learn to walk away from, not try to decipher. The more you try to understand it, the more you lose yourself. Many stay trapped in inconsistent connections, not because they don't see the problem, but because they believe love or validation will come if they're patient enough. But you don't need patience for ambiguity, you need clarity. If someone can't or won't give you that, the best thing you can do is withdraw, not out of weakness, but because you know you deserve more. Your dignity lies in refusing half-hearted affection, not clinging to it out of fear of starting over, and not needing to prove anything to anyone but yourself. You don't need many people, just a few who are truly consistent. The more you clear out inconsistency, the more room you make for genuine, clear, respectful connections. Your peace is non-negotiable. You've spent too many years chasing those who come and go, and now you deserve a life where what enters is solid and doesn't make you question yourself. Being unavailable to inconsistency isn't about being cold or rigid. It's a mark of self-respect. It's a declaration that you won't be dragged into emotional whirlwinds. It's the mental boundary between someone of value and someone swept along by anyone. Those truly serious about you won't make you feel like a backup plan. They'll show up with consistency, commitment, and the awareness that you're worth cherishing. If you've been hurt by inconsistent people, comment, "I choose clarity to reset your life standards." Hit like if you've given too much to unworthy connections, and are ready to start anew with pride. Subscribe to continue building your most valuable self and share this video with anyone who needs to hear. You don't need those who come and go. You need certainty, because you're not a fallback option. You're a luxury not to be touched carelessly. Number 5, set boundaries without feeling guilty. If you want to be seen as a luxury, to be respected and never treated as a fallback option, you must master a skill rarely taught in school: setting boundaries. But it's not just about drawing lines. You must hold them without guilt. That's where your true strength begins. Boundaries aren't about rejecting others. They're about protecting yourself. They don't make you cold. They show you understand what's healthy and what harms your inner peace. Most people shy away from boundaries because they fear judgment. They worry about being called selfish, unfeeling, or too rigid. They fear that saying no will drive others away. But here's the truth. Those who leave because you set boundaries were never meant to stay. People who love you only when you're compliant or accommodating don't truly love you. They love a controllable version of you. If you harm yourself to please others, that's not love or respect, it's exploitation. Seneca, a great Stoic philosopher, said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Every time you say yes when your heart says no, break a promise to yourself to please others, or stay silent about what hurts you, you dig deeper into self-betrayal. Then you blame life or others for not valuing you, when you were the first to dismiss your own worth. A valuable person doesn't need to be the richest, most beautiful, or most famous, but they absolutely have clear boundaries. They know what they'll accept and what they won't. They don't stay in conversations that belittle them. They don't cling to people who make them question their worth. They don't grudgingly agree to things against their principles. They live by their own standards, and that's what makes them rare. People respect them not because they please everyone, but because they dare to say no to what doesn't align. Setting boundaries is the boldest act to protect your inner freedom. With time, you'll see. Those truly worthy will respect your limits. They won't demand you trade peace for their presence or bend your values to stay. They'll meet you with clarity, equality, and respect. And those who leave because you set boundaries, let them go in silence. You don't need their approval for your principles. You just need the strength to live by them. Starting today, don't apologize for taking time to rest. Don't feel guilty for not replying to messages instantly. Don't feel wrong for declining an uncomfortable invitation. Don't torment yourself for not pleasing everyone. Some may react to your boundaries, but those who truly care will adapt. Boundaries don't ruin relationships. They filter out the ones that were never solid. If you're learning to say no, finding your voice, and building a version of yourself that can't be exploited, comment, "I set boundaries because I'm worthy." Hit like if you've spent a lifetime pleasing others and now choose peace. Subscribe to keep growing into your most valuable self, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Boundaries aren't walls, they're gates, opening only for those who value you rightly. Number 6, let go of the need for constant validation. We grow up in a world that teaches us early on, to be loved, you must please others, excel to earn your parents' approval, be attractive to gain friends' admiration, succeed to win society's respect. Over time, you stop living for yourself and start living like an endless report card, seeking approving glances, supportive words, or nods of agreement to feel good enough. But what you don't realize is that the more you live for validation, the less you trust your own worth. And when you no longer believe in your inner value, you'll forever be a commodity waiting for someone else to set your price. Needing validation isn't always wrong. We all want to be heard, recognized, and feel meaningful. But when it becomes a sole source of your self-worth, you become a hostage to external emotions. A compliment lifts you up. A criticism crushes you. A cold glance makes you doubt yourself. A like or comment dictates your mood for the day. At that point, you're no longer the master of your life. You're an actor on a stage, constantly checking the audience to ensure you're still loved. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "True freedom begins when you no longer need approval from the crowd." This is the hardest part, accepting that not everyone will like you, understand you, or agree with you. You can be right and still criticized, kind and still misunderstood. But if you stand firm in that storm without needing to shout for validation, you're truly strong. The highest validation never comes from the outside world. It comes from knowing who you are, what you live for, and not needing anyone's permission to feel worthy. When you let go of the need for validation, you start living authentically. You don't choose a career to impress others, but because you love it. You don't post online for likes, but to share something meaningful. You don't strain in relationships to be someone worthy, but simply be yourself, whole, complete, and unapologetic. Ironically, when you stop seeking validation, you become most magnetic. Nothing is more valuable than someone who knows their worth without needing to prove it every second. Letting go of this need is challenging. At first, you'll feel empty. You'll wonder, if no one says I'm good, am I really good? If no one calls me beautiful, am I attractive? If no one says I'm lovable, am I worthy of love? But you'll learn. You don't need a certificate to be capable, a crowd to be valuable, or validation to live a life you're proud of. Starting today, look within. Write down 5 core values you believe in, not because someone told you, not because society demands them, but because you've lived, experienced, and felt them in your heart. Each morning, look at them and remind yourself, I don't need a like to live these truths. If someone can't see these values, that's their lesson, not your wound. If you're on the journey to release dependence on others' approval, comment, I am enough from within. Hit like if you've ever lost yourself trying to please the world, but now choose to live authentically, unbound, without performing. Subscribe to keep reclaiming mastery over your life, and share this video with someone stuck in the validation trap. They might need this wake-up call. Number 7, let your presence speak louder than your words. Some people don't need to speak much, explain, or persuade, yet their mere entrance into a room commands silence and respect. It's not because they demand attention, but because their presence says everything needed. This is the power of someone who doesn't need to prove their worth. It radiates from within. When you no longer defend yourself with words, shout to be heard, or strive to seem smart or special, you tap into a profound strength. The power of presence. We live in a noisy world where everyone yells to stand out. But here's the truth. The loudest voices aren't always the most impactful. The people you remember most aren't those who speak well, but those who make you feel something just by being there. They're fully present, undistracted, authentic, without excess. They don't need to speak up because their existence is a statement. Stoic philosophy doesn't advocate silence from weakness, but from clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be a rock unshaken by waves, letting them break against you." In life, you'll be misunderstood, judged, or overlooked. Instead of fixing others' perceptions, focus on how you live. Consistent actions, calm demeanor, simple words, and a strong presence shift others' views without a single word. When you know who you are, you don't need to explain it. When you live by clear principles, you don't need to argue what's right. When you walk with inner calm, you don't need to strain for respect. Strength lies not in the volume of your voice, but in the depth of the energy you carry. True presence comes from a refined inner self, not reacting to every word, not swayed by external chaos, not proving, but always clear. You must practice this daily. Don't just talk about standards, live them. Don't just claim values, act consistently with them, even unseen. Become someone whose entrance shifts the air, whose presence doesn't need permission, applause, or flash to feel enough. This presence can't be faked. It grows from choosing silence over reaction, walking away over arguing, letting go over clinging to the unworthy. It comes from treating yourself kindly in quiet moments, keeping promises to yourself without witnesses, and standing firm like a tree in an emotional storm. Others may not understand you, but they'll feel you. They'll sense something in you they can't ignore. Over time, you'll see. You don't need many words to be heard. Just be someone at peace with themselves, choosing calm over proving, substance over show. In an increasingly noisy world, a grounded presence is rare, and like all rare things, It's a luxury. If you've ever spoken too much to be understood and now want to live authentically without explaining, comment, "I let my presence speak." Hit like if you've lost yourself trying to please others and are now reclaiming the power of silence. Subscribe to keep building a self that doesn't need to shout to stand out. Share this video if you believe someone needs to learn how their presence can be their loudest answer. Number 8, don't just talk standards, live them. You can talk about standards all day, write them on walls, or post them on social media with bold captions. But if your actions contradict your words, it's just empty noise. In a world where anyone can say the right, noble, or beautiful thing, the person who stands out isn't the one with the loudest words, but the one who lives their declared standards, whether anyone's watching, applauding, or not, even when it means sacrificing comfort. Want to be a luxury in others' eyes? Start by living the standards you set for yourself, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. The difference between an ordinary person and one of true caliber isn't what they say they want, it's what they refuse. Someone with real standards doesn't lower their expectations out of loneliness to settle for a fleeting romance. They don't succumb to societal pressure to live a draining lifestyle. They don't compromise their conscience for validation. They're willing to stand alone, reject opportunities, or be seen as difficult to protect what they believe is right. For them, standards aren't for show. They're a matter of personal honor, lived and upheld. Epictetus said, "Don't boast about knowing philosophy, live like a philosopher." This applies to standards. You don't need to proclaim your worth, just act like you know it. When someone disrespects you, withdraw silently instead of trying to prove them wrong. When an environment no longer aligns with your spirit, walk away rather than conform. When a relationship demands you sacrifice dignity to keep it, leave without apology. Standards aren't proven with words, but with courageous choices in real life. Living with high standards isn't about rigidity or inflexibility. It's about knowing what truly matters to you and not letting convenience, others' approval, or fear of being left behind make you compromise. You may be isolated, misunderstood, or criticized, but you'll have one thing: peace. You don't need to act, play a role, or bow to stay. You just need to be yourself, proudly and principled. When you truly live your standards, you don't need to tell others you're worthy of respect. They'll feel it in how you carry yourself, respond, and choose. They'll see you're not easy to attain, harm, or keep without matching your value. Your self-discipline makes others take you seriously. Your inner rigor makes you stand out in a lenient world. That's when you stop being an option. You become a standard others must rise to meet. If you've ever felt torn between what you say and how you live, today is the day to reset. No need to shout or announce it to the world. Start small. Keep a promise to yourself. Walk away from what's no longer true. Act as if you're the only one who needs to be satisfied with you. Day by day, you'll find you don't need to say much. Your life becomes the strongest answer to any doubt. If you're on the journey to live your standards, comment, "I live what I believe." Hit like if you've traded convenience for self-respect. Subscribe to keep receiving messages that help you not just talk about value, but embody it. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder. True caliber isn't in words, it's in how you walk when no one's watching. Number 9, detach without drama. There's a quiet, unshakable strength in letting go without drama. It's walking away from what no longer fits, without criticism, tears, or an audience. It's not shouting to prove you're right, not crafting a story to justify your choice, not wielding anger to mask pain. You simply leave, silently, cleanly, without entanglement, because you know your peace matters more than any noise. Attachment is natural. We cling to people, memories, relationships, jobs, even old versions of ourselves. But not everything we're attached to deserves to stay forever. Some things that once brought joy now weigh you down. Some people who were your world now exhaust you. Some parts of you, once vital for survival, now hold you back. Letting go isn't failure, it's courage, especially when done without resentment or regret. Stoics teach, love everything as if you could lose it tomorrow. And if you do, Let go with gratitude, not bitterness. Epictetus said, "Don't attach yourself absolutely to anything, for everything is temporary." Inner calm comes not from controlling all, but from releasing without losing yourself. It's refusing to let others dictate your mood, a lost relationship define your worth, or something outdated claim your space. If it no longer serves your growth, no matter how familiar, it's not worth keeping. Letting go doesn't mean ignoring emotions. You may feel sadness, regret, or pain, but you don't let those turn you small, bitter, or weak. You feel fully, then let them pass. You don't cling, force, or beg to stay. What must leave will leave, and what truly belongs won't require sacrificing your peace to keep. Detaching without drama shows maturity. Those lacking inner strength need to amplify everything, seeking validation, clear reasons, or an audience for their pain. But the truly strong don't. Silent departure isn't weakness. It's a sign you know your worth and value a calm mind over superficial victories. When you learn to let go without adding suffering, you become free. You don't carry anger, stay in relationships out of fear of looking like a failure, or guilt trip others to feel right. You need only truth. And if the truth says a door is closed, you honor it and move on. Start small. When someone hurts you but won't listen, don't respond with anger. Step back with awareness. When a project no longer inspires but you cling because of sunk effort, ask, am I investing in my future or my past? When something no longer feels like home, leave like someone who knows. True good doesn't demand you sacrifice yourself. If you've held on to things that don't fit out of fear of hurting others, comment, I choose peace over drama. Hit like if you've quietly walked away from something despite a heavy heart, knowing you deserve more. Subscribe for messages to grow stronger, freer, unbound by the past. Share this video with someone who needs permission to let go without guilt. They might be waiting for this nudge. Number 10, protect your energy like a sacred space. There's something invisible, untouchable, immeasurable by external standards, yet it defines your life's quality, your energy. It's the life force within you, the emotions you carry, the vibration others feel when they enter your space. If you let it leak, get stolen, or drain on meaningless things, no matter how grand your goals, you won't go far. To be seen as a luxury, someone of high value, not easily approached, you must learn to guard your energy like a sacred space. Many live unaware that every time you nod along to negative conversations, you taint your inner world. Each time you let others drag you into drama, heavy emotions, or pointless arguments, you allow them to take the best parts of you. The danger is you don't notice until you're inexplicably exhausted, mentally drained, or irritated without reason. That's the clear sign you're not protecting your energy space. Stoics understood, you can't control others, but you can control your reactions and what you let near your mind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning he'd meet ignorant, selfish, deceitful people. But instead of joining their emotional chaos, he chose to keep his inner calm as an impregnable fortress. You must do the same. Build mental barriers. Decide what's allowed in your inner world and what's not. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's wise. You don't have to answer every message instantly. You don't need to join every conversation. You don't owe explanations to those who are merely curious, not caring. You don't need to stay in relationships that leave you depleted and lost. If you don't guard your energy, no one will. And those who don't respect your energy will never respect you. Start with simple rituals to protect this sacred space. Carve out daily moments of silence. Limit exposure to negative information. Avoid people who dump emotional trash and disappear. Carefully choose what you read, watch, and who you let into your private world. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. You're declaring, my inner world is a temple, not a marketplace. Equally vital, learn to recharge yourself. Don't wait for others to fill your battery. Find what restores your true state. Meditation, reading, exercise, art, nature, anything that reconnects you to yourself. Someone with bright, clean, strong energy doesn't need to shine for attention. They just are, and the world is drawn to them. When you respect your energy, you respect your time, boundaries, and worth. You'll see, not everyone deserves access to your space. You don't need to open your door to all. Only welcome those who enter with respect, quietly, without demands or depletion. You're not an emotional charging station. You're a sacred ground to be cherished. If you've ever felt drained from pleasing everyone, comment, "I protect my energy." Hit like if you're curating your environment, relationships, and thoughts to build a resilient inner world. Subscribe for more lessons to grow stronger, purer, and impervious to negativity. Share this video with someone you know who's being drained daily. They might thank you forever. Number 11. Be okay with being misunderstood. One of the greatest liberations in life comes when you truly accept this. Not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. The urge to be seen accurately, judged fairly, or validated by others is human. But if you endlessly chase consensus, you become a tangled version of yourself, constantly editing, explaining, worrying about what they think. This doesn't just exhaust you, it stifles your individuality, limits your freedom, and dims your unique light. Paradoxically, maturity doesn't come from being understood. It comes from embracing being misunderstood. It's daring to live by your values even if others call you cold, arrogant, or distant. It's pursuing your path despite being told you're too different. It's rejecting unfit relationships even if labeled heartless. You can't stop others from labeling you, but you can refuse to let those labels define your true worth. Inner peace doesn't come from others understanding you. It comes from knowing yourself so deeply you no longer need their validation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone misunderstands you, don't let it disturb you. If you live by reason and virtue, there's nothing to be ashamed of." This is Stoic wisdom at its core. Live by your principles, act with kindness, avoid impulsive reactions, and let truth speak, whether others get it or not. Explaining yourself to everyone makes you forget who you are. A person with clear direction doesn't scatter their energy seeking sympathy. They save it to go far on their own path. Understand this. Misunderstandings stem from others' lenses. They don't know your journey, live in your mind, or carry your scars. Expecting them to grasp everything is unreasonable. The more you explain, the weaker you seem. But when you stay silent, not because you're wrong, but because you know what deserves your words and what doesn't, that silence isn't surrender. It's a deliberate choice of someone who's outgrown the need for approval. Being okay with being misunderstood doesn't mean closing off or turning cold. It's simply letting go of the craving to be perfectly seen or loved everywhere. It's shifting energy from controlling others' perceptions to controlling how you live. You live rightly, deeply, with principles. Then those capable of understanding you will see you, not because you tried, but because true light doesn't need to shout. It just shines. There will be days you're misjudged. Relationships may break because someone lacks the patience to understand you. Sleepless nights may come from being called something you're not, but there will also be moments of absolute peace when you see yourself so clearly that no rumor can shake you. That's when you know you've grown. If you stay steadfast, you'll discover the best part. Those meant to stay will see you without you screaming. Those too shallow to understand will leave, and you'll learn to let go without clinging. You weren't born to be universally loved. You were born to live authentically, honor your soul's duty, and walk without needing anyone's permission. If you've grown weary trying to be understood and now choose freedom over sympathy, comment, "I live rightly, not to be understood." Hit like if you've ever had to defend yourself but now choose silence and progress. Subscribe for more messages to build unshakable strength. Live deeply and stand tall with dignity. Share this video with someone being misunderstood. They might need this to start living truer instead of pleasing others. Number 12. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't care. Here's a truth you must embrace to preserve your peace. Not everyone deserves your explanations. Not everyone cares. Not everyone listens with an open heart. You have no obligation to justify, defend, or convince those who've already chosen not to understand you. One of the most powerful ways to protect your energy and dignity is to stay silent before closed minds. When you constantly explain yourself to those who don't care, you're not just wasting time. You're handing others the power to define you. You let their perceptions become your measure. The more you try to make them understand, the weaker you become, losing your inner focus. A truly grounded person doesn't seek consensus. They only need their own understanding. Stoics know peace doesn't come from the world agreeing with you, but from not needing it to. Epictetus said, "Once you know what you're doing and why, you no longer care what others think." That's true freedom. Unswayed by others' opinions, walking your path, letting gossip fade behind you. Some don't want to understand you. It would force them to rethink their worldview. Some don't listen. They're just waiting their turn to speak. Some feign care to mine information. Pouring your heart out to convince them is a losing game. In the end, you hurt most, having entrusted your worth to those who never intended to cherish it. Not explaining isn't arrogance. It's the deep realization that truth doesn't need lengthy defenses to stand. If someone lacks the sensitivity to see what you're doing, striving for, or preserving, silence is the clearest response. You don't need a signboard to prove you're good. Just keep living rightly, and time will answer all. When you stop explaining, you reclaim your energy. No more scrambling to prove yourself, agonizing over being misunderstood, or draining your strength in the pointless talks. You save that energy to nurture yourself, build a life you're proud of, and be with those who truly want to understand, not just argue. You start living from within, not spinning in others' expectations. Then something miraculous happens. By stopping the need to please everyone, you attract the right people. Those on your frequency, with deep souls and open hearts, who accept you without draining you. They don't need explanations. Your way of living speaks clearly enough. If you're tired of justifying yourself, step back. Let the world say what it wants. You can't control others' words, but you can control your response. Sometimes the noblest act isn't a reply, it's poised silence. You don't need approval from those who won't try to understand. You just need honesty with yourself. That's enough. If you're learning to stay silent before false accusations, comment, "I choose peace, not justification." Hit like if you've felt drained, defending yourself to those who never truly listen. Subscribe for more messages to strengthen your resolve, hold your value, and live with dignity. Share this video with someone trapped in the cycle of explaining themselves. They might need this reminder. You owe no defense to those who don't care. You don't need to become someone else to be chosen. You don't need to shrink to fit molds others create. You were born to be yourself, a unique, invaluable, irreplaceable version. When you live true to that value, you're no longer an option. You're a luxury. Others can't easily claim you. They must elevate themselves, grow deeper, and become worthy to enter the world you've built through awareness, discipline, and self-respect. The 12 principles you've heard aren't just theory. They're reminders to reclaim your inner power. Choose to be the standard, not a seeker of approval. Live clearly, firmly, without needing to make noise to prove anything. When you live as a luxury, you don't beg for love, you're chosen with respect. If this message stirred something in you, comment below with what you're changing today. Hit like to show you're ready to live as an unnegotiable version of yourself. Subscribe to stay grounded with videos that strengthen you daily. Share this with someone losing themselves trying to be someone else's option. They deserve to know their true value doesn't beg for recognition.